everybody! So today I had the chance to see the new sequel to the 2010 big hit Alice in Wonderland, which was directed by Tim Burton. This is Alice Through the Looking Glass, and it is directed by James Bobin, and who did the last two Muppets movies. I actually was really disappointed in the last Muppet movie, but I did like the 2011, I think, one that he did with Jason Segel and Amy Adams. I thought was a really sweet little movie. But this, I don't know how much of a impact the director really had on this. This is produced by Tim Burton, and it feels very Tim Burton-ish. In kind of all the wrong ways. I think that if you follow my channel, you know that I'm not a big fan of the 2010 version of Alice in Wonderland. My problem with that version is that I feel like, for me, it doesn't really understand what makes Alice in Wonderland special. What makes Alice in Wonderland special, both novel and Disney animated classic, is its embrace of nonsense. It's that you don't know what to expect. Each turn she meets a new creature, a new character, and she has a different experience with each of those characters. And I particularly like, in the animated version, how she has a different way of looking at the world. She is a bold thinker in a certain way. And I did review the 1933 classic on this channel a few weeks back. So I have reviewed the 2010, I reviewed the animated classic, and I've reviewed the 1933 film. And I think the 1933 and the animated classic both get just the sense of wonder and sense of nonsense right about Alice in Wonderland. And it shouldn't be something that we should be able to sort of predict, and it shouldn't be something that is a strong narrative. It should be something that surprises you. And the problem with the 2010 version is that they try to wedge in this very predictable, very, very drab storyline of Alice being the chosen one, and she's come to save Underland, because it's not really Wonderland, it's Underland, and it just loses all of the fun and all of the magic and everything that I love about Alice in Wonderland. And I know some people love it, and that's awesome if you do, but you know, it's just, you can't expect something that is that artistically kind of bold to please everyone. And for me, I'm one of the people, I just felt like it's drab when it should be happy and joyous and bold. But enough about that movie. So let's talk about the Alice Through the Looking Glass, this latest film. Well, I actually was kind of hopeful about it, because I felt like, well, maybe they learned from some of the things that a lot of people didn't like about the 2010 version, and maybe they will get back to some of that fun that now that Tim Burton is gone. Maybe they'll embrace some of the nonsense of the story. I also felt like the actual book, Alice Through the Looking Glass, has a little bit of narrative. So if they wanted to kind of keep sort of a narrative, it has a little bit more than the actual Alice in Wonderland book. Because basically, like, she goes through this looking glass, she's kind of bored, she goes through this looking glass, and everything is reversed, and she ends up kind of playing this game of chess, and as she progresses, she meets different characters. She meets Humpty Dumpty, she meets the Queen of Hearts, she meets the White Queen, she meets all of these characters. And so I thought you could kind of do that and make it a little bit more sort of like the 2010 one, but also sort of embracing the actual story. And there is nothing like that in this movie. It is not an accurate depiction of this book at all. There is the scene where she goes through the looking glass, and there is the reversed room that she goes into, but that is it. And also the trailer is very deceptive. It makes it seem like Alan Rickman's character is going to be a big character. He is literally in the movie for about 2 lines. And so that's very, very frustrating. I was really disappointed about that, because he was one thing I actually liked in the 2010 version. And so they come up with this plot, instead of doing the meeting the different characters, they come up with this plot that the Hatter is sad because he found this item that reminds him of his family, and he's feeling sad about his family who have died, and he's going to die out of sadness, but he expects Alice to kind of make things right, and he's actually kind of upset with her when she's like, I can't bring somebody back from the dead. And I guess from the start, like, you're told that Alice and the Hatter have this great friendship. I never really felt that in the 2010 version. I never felt that they were so attached at the hip compared to, say, a lot of the other characters in that film. And here she's been off at sea as a sea captain for many, many months, however long, a year, I don't even remember how long it was. It was a long time, enough for her mother to practically lose possession of her house, and she's also in the guy Hamish who had proposed to her, and she'd refused in the last film. He's now back, and he's trying to kind of get back at her, and that was stupid. And anyway, and so she decides that she needs to help the Hatter. He kind of guilts her into it, which is just sort of weird. I felt like, why isn't the Hatter going after his parents or trying to do something? Why is he expecting someone else to do it for him? That was weird, I thought. And so she just ends up finding out from the White Queen, who's played by Anne Hathaway, who is so bad in this movie. Like, she is Razzie worthy. She isn't nominated. Very, like, as much as she was like this in the original, she's even more like this. And so she tells Alice to go into the clock and meet the Keeper of the Time, who was played by Sacha Baron Cohen. And Alice kind of steals this chromosphere thing that allows her to go back in time and try to change things so that she can stop this thing from happening to the Hatter's parents. Well, the thing is that, like, this is actually, like, they paint the time guy as being this villain, but he's really not. Like, she is actually endangering the whole world in order to help the Hatter. And again, why isn't the Hatter doing anything about this? He knows, he's been to these places before. He would know where to go. He would know who to talk to. So, you know, it starts to feel really, really, really silly, actually. And so she ends up going back, and it turns out the everything is all coming down to the most ridiculous thing. It's one of those things that if two characters had just had a simple conversation, then everything would be resolved. And you're supposed to believe that the most ridiculous little white lie that had literally changed everything for the White Queen and for the Queen of Hearts. Like, it's just ridiculous. And so it's just, and the other thing too is that, like, it does look nice in parts. It's a little bit brighter than the original. It's not quite as gross as the original, but the thing is that it's not quite as special as the original, even though I hated the look of the original for the most part. In this, you spend a lot of time in the world of the clocks, and the world of the clocks is just kind of like a generic CGI black kind of world. It's not that cool. And then when she is in the chromosphere traveling, that looks pretty good, but then the other lands are just kind of they're just, we've seen it all before. It's nothing special. And it's just kind of blah. It answers questions that we don't care about. We don't need to know. We don't need to know why the Red Queen or the Queen of Hearts, we don't need to know why her head is so big. Who cares? You know? And so instead of just presenting the original story as it could have been, with Alice meeting a whole bunch of fun characters and progressing on this journey through the chess game, that could have been so much fun. Instead, we just get this stupid, predictable time travel story. And like I said, and it is all comes down to the most laughable thing that if two characters had just said, yep, I did it, I did that, then everything would be made better. And so, yeah, it's a lot to hang an entire 2 movies basically on this one pinnacle event. And it's not good. You don't get hardly any of the side characters from the original film. They're way underused. Johnny Depp is annoying. Again, like you said, he's really he should be doing this, and yet he's expecting everybody to do all these things for him. And just his mannerisms, his voice is annoying, and it's not a good movie. I'm sorry. In my opinion, I did not like it. So I will give Alice Through the Looking Glass a D. Yep. So that's my opinion on Alice Through the Looking Glass. Let me know what you thought, if you saw it, and if you're planning on seeing it, what you thought of the original. And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you later. Bye.